Take about 15 more seconds. 15, 12, 11. Yes, Abriana. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Great. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the lesson. I'm also going to share my screen so that you have access to the PowerPoint at this moment. Okay, so you should be able to see the PowerPoint now. Thumbs up if you can. Can you see the PowerPoint? Great. So today we are going to just go ahead and quickly jot down the objectives for today. I'm going to give you all about a minute for that. Thank you, Angelina, for the update. Great, so while you were copying down the objective, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So last class, we focused specifically on Act 5, Scenes 1 to 3. So today we're going to examine Act 5, Scenes 4 through 5. We're going to look at the conclusion of the play, so you all should have read the ending of the play by now. We're going to interpret the theme of public good over private benefit. So that's a theme that we talked a lot about the last class. So we're going to revisit that theme and talk about another event that shapes it. We're going to analyze the importance of honor to Brutus, and then we're going to support or refute an important statement made by Antony. So we're going to be looking at their funeral speeches again, like we were doing, like we left off in the last class. I'm going to go ahead and get started. So these are the final scenes of the play. So we're going to be reviewing them, and then we're also going to be keeping them in mind so that they effectively wrap up the story and deliver Shakespeare's message to us. So what I want us to quickly just do is talk about some of the things that we remember from scene 4 and some of the things that we remember from scene 5. So if you would just like to share something you remember from scene 5, go ahead and raise a hand. Mr. Amador will unmute you if you would like to share something, and then we'll go ahead to scene 5. So some things that you remember from scene 4, go ahead and share them out. Raise a hand, and then Mr. Amador will just unmute you.
Let's see. Please also remember. Please also remember, if you use the raise hand button, it will alert me, so I'll see it much easier.
Anthony.
Got you. I'm unmuting you, Anthony. Let's see.
Oh, okay. So what basically happened in C4 was that that Julius and Brutus, they were giving this speech to the town, like they were basically giving a speech, and then Brutus was talking about how he did it for the good of Rome. And he was basically talking all trash about Caesar and how he was meant to die because of us. Like some bad stuff will happen to Rome. While Antony, he gave the speech about how although he was a bad person, he also had some good for him in Rome. Yeah.
Your video cut off at the end. Can you just repeat the last part that you said?
Okay. What was the last word that I left off?
I'm not too sure. You were cut off.
Oh. I don't know.
So you're talking about something that got.
I was talking about what?
Do you remember what you were talking about when you were talking about scene 4? What were you talking about in scene 4?
Oh yeah. Repeat the whole thing.
You don't have to repeat the whole thing, just the ending part.
Oh,
where you
any
left
part,
off
and
at.
then how Anthony he was basically talking about how Julius Caesar, he although he was a bad person, he had some good for him in Rome.
Okay. Anyone else would like to jump in, add on about scene 4?
Yeah,
If not, we can move on to scene 5. Naya?
I'm unmuting you, Naya.
Oh, okay. I want to also add on and say that Antony like felt honor for Brutus at the end. He said that out of all the conspirators, Brutus didn't envy Caesar. He killed Caesar for the good of Rome. So out of all the conspirators, he is the most noble one.
Anyone remember anything from the last scene that you read, scene 5, that you can just recap on it for us? Just one person to share out really quickly. Scene 5.
Me?
I'm going to call if I don't see any hands. Sila. Scene 5. Go ahead.
Scene 5 was about I think Brutus ends up killing himself, and then Antony and some other guy, they have pity on like Brutus and stuff because like they saw that like how Brutus was like actually somebody good, and then like they felt guilty about like what they did and stuff like that. So,
Okay. Angelina? Go ahead.
So I think that in scene 5, Brutus, he asks his servants to kill him, and then I forgot what the other guy's name was, but he agrees to killing Brutus.
Okay, so we all know that Brutus ends up dying in scene 5. Some of the other things that they ended up having a battle. There was an alarm that signals the approach of the enemy. We knew that Brutus wanted to flee, but Strato, who awakened from this quick nap, kept saying that Brutus had to die. He kept repeating that it was time for him to die. We know that Antony believes that all of the other conspirators attacked Caesar because of personal envy. But like we said, he said that Brutus did it because he believed that it would be for the general good of Rome. So I'm just going to jump into today's lesson. So we talked about a lot of themes in Julius Caesar's, and one of the ones that we identified was doing things for public good over the private benefit. So we've identified this theme, but we need to interpret and we need to determine the meaning of this theme. So we're going to do this by analyzing Antony's final words about Brutus. So we did it earlier when we talked about his speech and Brutus' speech, but now we're just going to talk about the final words that he talked about with Brutus. So really quickly, what I want you to think about, how does determining the theme help us as readers? Why is it important for us to think about the theme and determine what it is when we're reading? Anthony, please take your hood off. Thank you. Katie, go ahead.
So determining the theme is important because then we know the author's message to writing the book.
Okay. Someone add on? How does it help us? What does it help? What does it help impact? Think about what we're reading in the story. What does it help impact? What does it help impact this? Like, what does it do? I see a hand up. I don't know whose hand it is. Katie, is that another hand? No, it's not. Sorry, I can't see who has their hand raised. Adelaide, go ahead.
Oh, I know one. The theme is important because it helps us like it helps us like build up the story and see why characters do certain things throughout the text.
It helps impact the characters. It helps impact the setting, also the plot. It helps us, like Katie said, it helps us know what message the author is trying to send for us. So we can begin to interpret or determine the theme by analyzing or thinking critically about specific places in the text where the theme is critical. So the theme of public good versus private benefit pops up many times in Julius Caesar. We talked about some of them the last class. I wanted us to recap about it, but we're running out of time, so I'm just going to keep moving along. So in order for us to better understand this theme, we can examine a section of a text where this is critical. So wherever we see it show up in a text, that's the specific section of the text that we want to look at, we want to analyze, and we want to think about how does this theme impact this specific part of the text. So today we're going to analyze Antony's final words about Brutus in order to interpret the theme of public good over private benefit. So first we're going to go back into the place of the text and read through it, thinking about the point that Antony is trying to make. So I have the PowerPoint up ahead, so go ahead and silently read the part of the text where it shows up. Take about 10 more seconds to just read through it on your own, then we're going to come back. Great, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So in order to analyze these words, I'm thinking first about what Antony is trying to say here. So in the beginning, he ends up calling Brutus the noblest Roman of them all. So he's saying that Brutus is the most noble man in Rome. So if a person is noble, it means that they possess excellent qualities of a character. Obviously, you're saying someone is noble, you're saying they're a good person, you're saying that they have all these great qualities to them. So Antony is saying that Brutus was a man of excellent character. So what is Antony saying next about the conspirators? Based on this short part of the reading, what is he saying next about the conspirators? Zenobia.
What he's saying next about the conspirators is that they were all like jealous and had envy over him because of how noble he was and like the power that he has, and how the citizens of Rome loved him more than the way that they loved the conspirators. Therefore, they wanted to kill Caesar.
Agree, disagree? Thank you, Naya. I see you're agreeing. Thank you, Abriana. Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Esther. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Anaya, Josue, Adelaide, Silas. Yes, Esther, we're agreeing. Yeah. So he's basically claiming that the conspirators, except for Brutus, all agreed to murder Caesar at this point because they're envious and they're jealous of him or his power. So this tells us what Antony thinks about Cassius, Caspa, and other noblemen. So what evidence does it show that Cassius was envious of Caesar? What evidence do we have to support that Cassius was jealous of Caesar? Any pieces of evidence we can refer back to? I like how Esther is referring back into the book because that's how you're going to find your piece of evidence. Brianna is going back into the book, so it's Adelaide. That's how you're going to find your piece of evidence. So it's Zenobia. I'm going to let everyone take a second to think, and then I'm going to call on Elijah because I see your hand is up. All right, go ahead, Elijah. What piece of evidence do we have to support that?
All right, so early on in the text, Cassius says that Caesar is a weak man because Caesar needed his help when they were swimming to island, and because Cassius helped them, he believes that Caesar is not fit to be king because he's too weak.
Yeah. And let's think about in the first act, what are some things that Cassius was saying? What are some extreme things that Cassius was saying? He said something that was a little bit extreme to us. What did he say? He'd rather do what than do something? Naya.
Cassius, one second. Cassius said that I lost my page.
Page, all right, so I'm gonna just jump over to Bintu. Go ahead, Bintu. Bintu, go ahead.
I think that one important thing he says is that he would rather I think the second part of it is that than to be ruled by Caesar, who is not better than any of the noblemen.
Okay, fix that line for us. What did he say? He'd rather do what? Thank you, Binti, for your input. I'm just gonna let Zenobia take over. Zenobia, go ahead. What did he say?
He said, "I would rather die than stand in awe of someone no one better."
Exactly. He says he'd rather die than live under the rule of a man no one better than himself. So he's saying that Caesar is not a good person to rule under. Caesar is not a good ruler. That's not someone that I want to have the chance to listen and be under. I rather die than be able to do that. So this definitely gives the impression of Cassius as being a man who is envious or jealous of the power that Caesar has over Rome and its people. So I wanted to think about the next line. So Brutus was a man of excellent character. It's also saying that the conspirators, except for Brutus, murdered Caesar because they were envious or jealous of his power. What does Antony say next about Brutus? What does he say next about Brutus? What does he say next about Brutus? Go back into the book if you need to look for it. Synovia has an answer. Thank you, Synovia, but I'm going to pick on someone else. You have the book in front of you. I'm seeing some siblings, some cute little siblings in the shot. That's great, but I just ask that you refrain from having your sibling next to you because that kind of distracts everyone from, focusing on the lesson. If you have any pets around you, I just ask that you can see if they can sit into another room so that you're not being distracting at the moment. What else did he say? Take about 10 more seconds to look through the book, and I'm going to call on someone. What else did he say about Brutus? Come on, you got this. Three, 2, 1, 0. What else does he say about Brutus? I see your hand, Zenobia. Thank you. Let's let someone else take this. Let's see if someone else can take this. Anaya, what does he say about Brutus?
He's saying that I think it's saying that like the type of person that he was, that was like inside of him, I think that it would make that will come out, and that the people of Rome would stand up and say that this wasn't the type of ruler that they wanted. So then when they saw that Brutus was the one who killed Caesar, and that Brutus did it for a reasonable purpose, that they're gonna say that this is what makes him a man.
Okay, but let's think about the contrast of what he's saying. So he's saying that Antony was saying that Brutus is an honorable man of character, but he's saying that the other people were envious and jealous of him. Why might he be saying that? What might be his reason for saying that? What did he think Brutus' reasoning for killing Caesar was? Esther, I saw a hand raised, so Esther, I'm gonna go to you. Esther, what did he say the reasoning was?
I think it was because Brutus didn't do it because he was envious that Caesar had a lot of power. Maybe Antony thought that Caesar did it because of a reason, unlike the other people.
Yeah, so he's saying that Brutus was the only one that killed that murdered Caesar because it was best for Rome. So this is how we see the theme being shown here, right? He believes that out of all the conspirators, the only one who wanted to kill Caesar for an honorable reason was Brutus. Brutus wanted Caesar dead because he believed that although Caesar was his close friend, Caesar is going to be a dangerous ruler to Rome, and Rome is going to be better off without Caesar. So what does this tell us about Brutus's intentions? It tells us that even though the action may have been wrong, Brutus had the best intention in mind when he joined the cause to murder Caesar. Let's think about the theme that we're talking about, doing things for the public good versus for your private benefit. Antony in this moment, sorry, someone is unmuted. Antony in this moment is thinking, hey, Brutus is killing off Caesar, although he's his closest friend, because he wants to benefit the public. He wants to benefit Rome, right? He knows that the intention behind what Brutus is doing is essentially to do for the greater good of Rome, instead of thinking about his own selfish reasons for doing it. Great, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep moving on. So Antony thinks that Brutus is an honorable man, who made a mistake in his action, but he only did it for the best of Rome. He didn't murder Caesar for his own gain. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the next slide. Sorry, I'm just switching between screens. The next one. So he believes that Brutus was such a good man. No one can deny it. So Antony tells us at the end of his speech, he says that Brutus was such a good man that nature itself would have said so. I want us to think about that line. Nature itself would have said so. Does Anthony mean that literally nature is going to say that Brutus was a good man? Agree or disagree? What do we think? Does he think that nature itself would say that? So I see a lot of disagree. So what do you think he mean when he's saying that line, that nature itself would have said so? We're going to hear from Katie. Go ahead, Katie.
I think he just means that that Brutus was like a really good like person that like even like it's like it's so great. Like it's like really that many people would say that.
So why does he say nature itself? What do you know about nature?
Nature is big, is like really like important. It's like I don't know.
What do you know about nature? When you think of nature, what do you think of?
Trees.
And what else? Anything else you may think of? Anyone else want to jump in there? What do you think of when you hear nature? Naya, I'm gonna mute you. Naya.
Also when I think of nature, I think of like flowers and like other stuff we would see in summer or spring.
About some of those things.
Like trees, lily flowers, daisies.
Yeah, they're beautiful things, right? Sorry, I muted her back then. Yeah, so they're beautiful things, right? So he's saying that even nature, something as beautiful as nature couldn't deny that Brutus was a good person. So he's trying to say that Brutus himself was a really good man. So now that we have discussed Antony's last words about Brutus, we need to connect this speech to the theme of public good versus doing things for the private benefit. So we've seen so far through work to display with several characters that make the decision to make the public good over their own private benefit. So far, the overwhelmingly majority of choices have gone first to support the public good over the private benefit. So Anthony says that Brutus is one of those that chooses the public good over his private benefit when he decides that Caesar says he needs to die. And then he also claims that the rest of the conspirators, we know what he thinks about them. He says Cassius, they're envious, they're jealous. He says things like that. So he's saying that they're choosing their private benefit because they want to murder Caesar simply for their own benefit. They just want his power and control. They're no longer doing things to benefit the public. So Anthony is describing here a pretty strong statement about the choices that Cassius and Brutus have made when it comes to public good versus private benefit. So we now need to use what we learned about this statement to help us understand the theme of public good versus private benefit. So what I want you to do now is just take 10 seconds to think about yourself. What is Shakespeare trying to tell us about these choices? So thinking about what we know about the public good and private benefit, what do you think Shakespeare is trying to tell us about these choices? I see a hand from Sonolia, I see a hand from Katie, I see a hand from Anaya, I see a hand from Naya. Anyone else we haven't really heard from today? What do you think Shakespeare is saying here? I see a hand from Quincy. Quincy, and I'm going to hear from Quincy and then Josue. Go ahead, Quincy. Go ahead.
Like what you mentioned, your question was like, what do we think of Caesar?
Well, what do you think Shakespeare is trying to tell us about these choices, like public good versus doing things for the private benefit? Think about what the characters have done and the reasons that he
I think Shakespeare is trying to tell us that you shouldn't always be gullible, and you should like always stick with your gut and stick with what you think about a person.
Think about what these characters have done. You want someone to jump in for you? Josue, I'm gonna let you jump in. And I'm gonna bring it back. Josue, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I think what Shakespeare is trying to say is that Brutus is the only one that, like, it's kind of similar to what you said, but different because he's saying that everybody thought that Brutus was a good man, and that's why Cassius tried to like make Brutus on his team to kill Caesar, because he knew that Brutus wouldn't allow it unless they like tricked him into thinking it was okay.
Anything else? So I'm just gonna go ahead and keep going on. So we can also see that through his message, he's telling us how we need to act private benefits and personal interest for the greater public. So he's saying that we cannot always act in our own interest and we can't always act for others. So we see how that played out in both instances where we saw that Brutus was acting out for the greater good of the public, whereas Cassius and Casca and the rest of them were acting out for their own private benefit. So he's saying that if we can't balance these two ideas, we're not honorable people and negative consequences can result. So Shakespeare uses Cassius, Caesar, and Brutus, their actions, their outlook, their idea to show us what may happen if we don't balance these two sides of our lives. So now that we've talked about the theme of public good over private benefit, we're going to zoom in on another big idea and discuss how it's important to our protagonist, Brutus. So we're going to think about the importance of honor to Brutus by summarizing his actions throughout the play. So for this, I'm actually going to put us into breakout rooms. But what we're going to do for our discussion is we're going to summarize Brutus' actions throughout the play. So what I want really quickly is someone to tell us what this prompt action. Go ahead, host. This is prompt telling us to do.
This prompt is telling us to take the events or the things that Brutus does or did throughout the story and use those to make a summary of what he did.
We're going to be looking at in order to effectively answer this prompt. Really quickly, let's go. So now, what are we going to be looking for? Sylvia? What are we going to be looking for in order to effectively answer this prompt?
We have to look for details in which we see the comparison between the reasons why what are they called? The conspirators versus Brutus, and the reasons why they wanted to kill Caesar and their motivations behind it.
What is it saying? Can you see it?
Oh, yeah. Have to zoom in. Right. We're looking at the part where Brutus and Cassius are to start fighting, and like when Brutus confronts Cassius and what he did and the reasons why, and see how he characterizes him.
I'm sorry, are we able to see the same screen? Let me just make sure. So it says summarize Brutus' actions throughout the play. Is that the screen that you're seeing as well?
Yeah, but I can't see it because it's small.
Okay, sorry about that. So can someone see the screen and can tell us what we need to effectively do in order to answer this? Naya.
So we basically need to we need to go through the book and look at all the things that Brutus has done, and based on that we can answer the question about his actions throughout the play.
I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen really quickly so that I can just put us into breakout rooms. I'm just going to quickly make about 2 rooms and I'm just going to let it automatically put us into there. And then, so basically we just need to keep in mind, so we're thinking about the actions that Brutus takes or the things that Brutus do throughout the play, and then we're just going to quickly summarize them. So I'm going to put us into breakout rooms. It's going to be about 11 to 12 of us per room. I'm going to put Mr. Amador in one room and then I will be in another room with another group. So I'm going to go ahead and break us out.
Priscilla, can you just repeat the prompt one more time so that I can facilitate?
Yes, summarize Brutus's actions throughout the play.
Thank you.
No problem.
What's after 11:50? Yeah.
All right.
What time is history? 11:50 to 12. Okay.
Guys, join your breakout room, please. Nana, go ahead and join your room. Logan, go ahead and join your room. Logan, you gotta join the room. Logan, you gotta join the breakout room, sweetheart. Quincy, were you in the breakout room? Yeah? So did you just leave? Is it closing? Okay, so it's time for your enrichment, and I don't want to take too much time up for that. So I'm just going to have one person really quickly share something that they wrote down about the actions that Brutus has done. Can I just have literally one hand? All right, great, Lysandra. Go ahead.
Okay, so what my group talked about was that at first in the play, Brutus really didn't have a lot of actions because he wasn't really into like to kill Caesar, but then right when he had killed Caesar with the other people, that's when he started to have more action because he was more involved in like the bad things and how people had said that he was like a bad person.
Okay, great. So I'm just going to end it off right here because you guys got to get enrichment. Have to go to enrichment. I'm going to put the enrichment link in the chat just in case you may need it. But just really quickly to close us out, today in class we examined Act 5, Scene 4 to 5 of the conclusion of the play. We interpreted the theme of public good versus private benefit. If you're not following along, I need you to please stop doing what you're doing on the screen because we can't see you. Thank you. We also talked about the importance of honor to Brutus because by summarizing some of the things that he has done throughout the play. Great. In our next reading class, we are going to actually be working on a performance task. It won't be like a performance task that we really do. It will be modified a little bit due to circumstances that we're going through. So I'm going to just, explain to you all tomorrow how we're going to get that to work. For homework, all I really want you to think about, thank you, Katie, is you're going to think about the major events that has taken place so far, and you're going to list each of the major characters. So think about the major events that has happened so far in the play, and you're also going to describe each of the major characters and their how did they contribute to the play. So that's the only thing that you are going to do for homework. I'm going to go ahead and let you